In this video clip, I will explain what arrays are, how to declare them and use them. Firstly, let's look at what a variable is. I know by now you should know this, but I'll just go over it again. It is a name given to a collection of memory cells that is allocated to store some data. At the start of each program, we need to declare a variable that we need to use. That is to tell the computer that we need to store some data, but not only that we need to store some data, but we need to tell what type of data it needs to be, because different types of data takes up different amount of memory. For example, a double number would take up more memory space than an integer. Double, that is with decimal places. And in this case, I've declared a variable called mark, and it is of type integer, and therefore this is what happens. It actually gives a name to a memory location that can store a mark, okay, a number. And usually it's 4 bytes for an integer. And now after initializing or during initialization, we can just do it in one line, actually give an initial value to it. And what happens with that is not only the memory location is given, but an initial value is stored in it that we can use for calculations later on. Now, why are these called variables? Because they change during the program. We can read user input and store in it, or we can use it for calculations, and we can print from it, we change it. But constants cannot be changed in the program. Even if you try to change it accidentally in the program, it will give you a syntax error message, and you'd have to change that code because we are not allowed to change constants. These are variables, they can be changed. Now, let's say we want to keep records for all your programming fundamentals midterm test results, and we have 60 students. If we need to keep the marks, do we actually have 60 different variables? Int mark 1, int mark 2, int mark 3, up to 60. That sounds a bit ridiculous, isn't it? That's when we need something like an array. We can declare an array which is really a data structure as well. But in this case, it is actually a collection of data of the same type. Okay. When we declare an array type variable, it creates a pointer, right? Creates a pointer to a memory location of the first data item in that memory location. So really, it is a collection of different variables, but of the same data type. If you look at it, this is the mark for the first student, second student, third, fourth, and fifth. So they are like different variables, but we refer to it with the same name. But then how do we identify what the first student got, second student got, and so on? How can we identify them? This is done by a subscript. Notice I've written here array subscript. This is referred to, the first student's mark is referred to as marks sub 0. Okay, we normally read it as marks sub 0, which means the subscript 0. What is in the position? The first position, which is subscript 0. If we want to store the first mark, say the first person got 55, if we do this, we are storing 55 into the first position of the array, which is mark sub 0. Here's what happens. Okay, and then if we do marks 1 equals 70, marks sub 0 1, here we actually put 70. This is the second position, but referred to as the first. The subscript is 1. This one subscript 0. So if we need, this is an array size of 5. Notice there's 5 cells in here. You can store 5 marks. Then really we should name the subscript from 0 to 4. So if we have an array size of 10, it will go from 0 to 9. Okay, so in this case, that's what happened. So for each item we need to store some value in, we need to do that. Or we can read in from the user input and store the values in here. Right? Whatever it is, this is how we refer to it. Now, with other variables, if we wanted to calculate a total, or let's say we want to calculate the percentage of the mark that person got, we might say percent equals the mark, right, divided by, let's make this, let's pretend this is out of 60, okay? This person got full marks. Marks out of 60, and now how do we get the percentage? We multiply by 100. So that's the percentage. But that is for one person's mark. Notice this is a single variable, but we're not referring to the array. Now if you want to take something from the array and find the percentage, we cannot just refer to it as marks, even though this is the name given. Okay, this is the name given to the array. We cannot just say marks divided by 60, because this is the single variable. Okay, but now if we are using the array, we have to specify the percent for that student will be marks. Now that's the name of the array, but the first position is 0 divided by 60 times 100. This is how to access the array. Okay, this is how to store things in the array. And this is how to access the array. So every time the subscript is most important. Without that we cannot do it. And it's a common mistake new programmers make. That is to just refer to the array and say marks. But we remember to have to do that to each position.